Okay, so you want to own a nightclub. You picture it immediately. Your name on the guest list, the line outside stretching around the corner, a DJ booth lit up like a spaceship, thousands of dollars flowing across the bar every hour while you stand in the VIP section watching it all happen. It sounds like the ultimate business. People pay to get in, people pay for drinks, people pay for bottle service, and then they leave and come back next weekend and do it all again. Here's the problem. The average nightclub in the United States closes within 2 years of opening. Not the bad ones, not the ones that made obvious mistakes, the average one. And the ones that survive past year 2 face a completely different problem. A structural decline so predictable that industry veterans can map it out almost to the month before a club even opens its doors. The nightclub business doesn't fail because people stop wanting to go out. It fails because of something far more specific and far more preventable if you understand it before you sign the lease. Most people who open nightclubs don't. My name is David, and you're watching Dollar Horizon. I spend way too much time thinking about money, business economics, and why so many people walk into the most glamorous industries in the world and walk out completely broke. If that's the kind of thing that keeps you up at night, hit subscribe. Let's get into it. Let's start with what it actually costs to open the front door, because the number is almost always larger than the person writing the check expects. There is no single type of nightclub. There are several, and each one is a fundamentally different business wearing the same neon lights. At the bottom end, you have the bar with a DJ, a standard drinking establishment that adds music and a dance floor to capture weekend crowd energy. Startup costs for this format run somewhere between $175,000 and $500,000, depending on location and size. Above that sits the mid-tier nightclub, a dedicated venue with a proper sound system, lighting rig, a door policy, and a brand identity built around a specific music genre or atmosphere. This format requires between $500,000 and $1.5 million to open properly. At the top end sits the large format nightclub, the kind with multiple rooms, celebrity DJ residencies, VIP table service, and a capacity of 500 to 2,000 people. These venues require between $1 million and $5 million just to open, and that number climbs dramatically in major markets like Las Vegas, Miami, or New York. Now, here's where the naive mental model starts breaking down immediately. You think the expensive part is the interior design. It isn't. The expensive part is the infrastructure required to legally hold hundreds of sweating, drinking, dancing human beings in an enclosed space at 2 in the morning. Soundproofing alone, the acoustic treatment required to prevent noise complaints that will get your liquor license revoked, can run between $50,000 and $200,000 depending on the building's construction and its proximity to residential areas. You are not buying soundproofing because you want it. You are buying it because without it, a single noise complaint to the city can trigger a license review that shuts you down before you've paid back $1 of your investment. The liquor license itself is the single most valuable and most expensive asset in the entire business. In a state with a quota system, meaning the government limits the total number of liquor licenses available, a transferable license can cost anywhere from $50,000 to over $1 million, depending on the market. In New York City, a full liquor license for a high-capacity venue can exceed $400,000 before a single bottle has been ordered. Then comes the sound system. A professional nightclub-grade audio setup, the kind that doesn't distort at high volume and doesn't blow speakers 3 weekends in, costs between $50,000 and $500,000. The lighting rig that creates the visual atmosphere driving social media posts and repeat visits adds another $30,000 to $200,000. Add the security deposit on a commercial lease, the build-out of bathrooms scaled to handle peak hour capacity, the kitchen or bar infrastructure, and the permits required from the fire marshal, the health department, and the city's entertainment licensing board. A mid-tier nightclub in a major market can easily require $1 million to $2 million before it has served a single drink. Now, here's the part that explains why nightclubs fail at rates that would shock almost any other industry, and it has nothing to do with bad management or poor location. Every nightclub follows a life cycle, and that life cycle is almost entirely outside the owner's control. In the first 6 months, if the opening is executed well, a new nightclub operates in what the industry calls the honeymoon period. The venue is new. The curiosity factor drives attendance. Social media posts from opening weekend generate organic reach. Influencers and celebrities show up because the venue is the current conversation. Lines form outside not because the club has earned its reputation, but because novelty is its own form of marketing. Revenue during this period can be extraordinary. A well-executed opening in a major market can generate $50,000 to $200,000 in a single weekend. Owners look at those numbers and assume they represent the baseline of what the business will do. They do not. By month 8 to 14, almost universally, attendance begins to decline. The novelty has worn off. The crowd that came because the venue was new has moved on to whatever opened after you. The influencers who posted from your VIP section are now posting from your competitor's VIP section because your competitor paid them more to be there this month. This is the moment most nightclub owners panic. They respond by spending more on marketing, booking more expensive DJs, throwing launch parties for new nights that generate a temporary spike, followed by an even faster decline. By year 2, if the venue has not successfully transitioned from novelty to institution, attendance stabilizes at a fraction of its opening period peak. The fixed costs, rent, payroll, insurance, liquor license fees, sound system maintenance, have not declined with the attendance. The math stops working. The venues that survive this life cycle are the ones that understood from day one that the opening period is not the business. It is the marketing budget that nature gave you for free. The real business begins the moment the honeymoon ends and you have to earn every customer who walks through the door on a Tuesday night in February. Now, let's talk about the revenue model because it is more complicated and more fragile than it appears from the outside. A nightclub has 4 primary revenue streams: door cover, alcohol sales, bottle service, and events, and they are not equal. Door cover, the charge to enter the venue, seems like pure profit. In reality, it is the most volatile and psychologically sensitive revenue stream in the entire business. Charge too much and you reduce the crowd size that makes the venue feel alive. And a half-empty nightclub is a self-fulfilling prophecy because nobody wants to be the only person on the dance floor. Charge too little and you leave money on the table while simultaneously signaling to the market that your venue isn't exclusive enough to command a premium. The industry standard cover charge runs between $10 and $30 for a standard night, and $50 to $150 for a special event or celebrity DJ appearance. But the cover is rarely the point. It is a filtering mechanism. The real money is inside. Alcohol sales are the engine of the business. A nightclub running at full capacity with a well-managed bar can generate between $30,000 and $150,000 in alcohol revenue in a single weekend night. The markup on alcohol in a nightclub environment runs between 300 and 500% above well-sale cost. A bottle of vodka that cost the club $25 well-sale sells as a cocktail for $12 per cocktail and generates $120 to $180 across 10 to 15 drinks before the bottle is empty. But even alcohol sales are not the most profitable revenue stream. That distinction belongs to bottle service. Bottle service, the purchase of a full bottle of spirits for a reserved VIP table, generates margins that make standard bar sales look modest. A bottle of premium vodka that cost the club $40 well sale sells as a bottle service package for $400 to $600 in a standard market and $800 to $3,000 in Las Vegas or Miami. Here's the number that explains why bottle service became the defining revenue model of the modern nightclub. A venue of 20 VIP tables generating an average minimum spend of $2,000 per table generates $40,000 in a single night from 20 groups of customers occupying a fraction of the venue's total floor space. The remaining 80% of the venue fills the dance floor, creates the atmosphere that justifies the premium price, and generates additional bar revenue on top. The VIP section is not an amenity, it is the business model. The general admission crowd is the product being sold to the VIP customer. Now, let's talk about what happens when this business breaks, because it has broken at the highest levels of the industry. Marquee, for years one of the most celebrated nightclubs in New York City, a venue that defined the bottle service era of the mid-2000s. At its peak, Marquee was generating revenues that other venue operators could barely comprehend. Celebrity sightings were a weekly occurrence. The wait list for table reservations stretched weeks in advance. The owners were celebrated as having cracked the code of the nightclub business. By 2014, Marquee New York had closed. Not because of a scandal, not because of a legal problem, because the lifestyle that made it relevant had moved on, and the venue had not moved with it. The crowd that once waited outside in the cold to pay $500 for a table had found new venues, new neighborhoods, and new experiences. The lesson is not that Marquee was badly run. It was exceptionally well run by the standards of its era. The lesson is that a nightclub's most dangerous competitor is not another nightclub. It is time itself. Pangea, one of Singapore's most exclusive and highest-grossing nightclubs, a venue that charged some of the highest bottle service minimums in Asia and hosted the kind of clientele most club owners spend their entire careers trying to attract. It closed in 2019 after years of declining revenue, despite its location in one of the wealthiest cities in the world. The structural observation that connects both of these stories is simple. A nightclub sells an experience, and experiences have expiration dates in a way that products do not. A bottle of vodka is the same bottle of vodka it was 10 years ago. The feeling of being in the right room on the right night is a completely perishable commodity that has to be manufactured fresh every single weekend, and the cost of manufacturing it keeps rising, while the customer's willingness to pay for the same experience gradually declines. Let's put real numbers on what a full year actually looks like. In the optimistic scenario, a well-located mid-tier nightclub operating in a competitive urban market with a capacity of 400 people running 4 nights per week. At an average spend per customer of $60 across cover, drinks, and occasional bottle service, and an average attendance of 60% of capacity across all 4 nights, total annual revenue lands somewhere between $1.5 million and $2.5 million. Against that revenue stack, the fixed costs. Rent in a high-foot traffic urban location for a space large enough to hold 400 people runs between $15,000 and $40,000 per month, $180,000 to $480,000 annually. Payroll for door staff, bartenders, barbacks, security, a manager, and a booking agent runs between $400,000 and $700,000 annually. Liquor purchasing at volume, maintaining a stocked bar for 4 nights of operation, runs between $200,000 and $400,000 per year. Insurance for a high-capacity late-night alcohol-serving venue, one of the highest-risk commercial insurance categories that exists, runs between $30,000 and $80,000 annually. Add DJ booking fees, which for a mid-tier local or regional act run between $2,000 and $15,000 per appearance, marketing costs, licensing fees, and maintenance, and total annual operating costs land somewhere between $900,000 and $1.8 million. Net profit in the optimistic scenario, between $200,000 and $600,000 annually for a mid-tier venue running well. In the realistic scenario, attendance runs at 40% of capacity instead of 60% because the novelty period ended faster than projected. A competing venue opens nearby and captures a portion of the bottle service clientele. A high-profile incident involving a patron results in a lawsuit that the venue's insurance covers, but that triggers a 40% increase in the following year's premium. Under those conditions, the same venue that projected $400,000 in annual profit generates $80,000, or slides into an outright loss, while the rent, the payroll, and the liquor license fees continue arriving every single month regardless of what happened on the dance floor last Saturday. Here's the structural observation that explains everything we just walked through. A nightclub is not a hospitality business. It is an attention business that happens to serve drinks. The product being sold is not alcohol. Alcohol is the mechanism. The product being sold is the feeling of being somewhere that matters, on a night that matters, with people who make the room feel alive. That product costs almost nothing to manufacture when everything is working, and it becomes almost impossible to manufacture at any price when the moment has passed. The venues that survive past the 2-year mortality window are the ones that understood this from the beginning. They stopped chasing the opening night energy and started building systems, loyalty programs, private event revenue, strategic DJ residencies, brand partnerships that generate consistent revenue independent of whether last Saturday felt like the best night in the city or just another loud room. The nightclub that relies entirely on its own coolness to fill the floor is always one bad month away from becoming a cautionary tale. The one that builds a business underneath the atmosphere is the one that's still open in 10 years.